Hello, you're listening to the Total Tease podcast second demo broadcast. I'm here today with Stevo, Swinscoe.
All right, yeah.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Didn't know I wanted to slide in there or not.
Yeah. First thing I want to ask you before we actually get into this is when you did gigs and stuff, why are you never wearing a shirt?
Have you done some research on me or something?
I've done a bit of research on you. Yeah.
I mean, it's just naturally a sweaty guy, and I feel as though I don't know when you're just jamming out and you're excited and you're a preteen or post-teen and your testosterone levels are high. You want to express yourself in a way the instrument can't. So you declothe. All eyes are on you, either good or bad, and it just feels as though you're free. No one cares, and you, I think it was just me and the singer would have zero attire on the top half of our body, and that might have lowered the crowd count, but for us it made our music a bit more meaningful. I'm not saying you see the Red Hot Chili Peppers at Woodstock with Flea completely naked. You can see that he's enjoying himself with or without his clothes on, but I feel for us, I don't know, it was just another level of just being naked. I don't know, it was great. I don't know.
That was the most surprisingly weird answer I've ever had to ask someone why they never wear shirts.
I tend to go on tangents, and if this podcast ends up an hour too long, it's because of my tangents. So feel free to just cut me down.
So, I know you own a mankini, so I suppose it could have been worse.
I've never worn a mankini to a gig. I think I got that. I think during the hardship time of the band.
Right.
Played Twister in it once. Went to the beach once. Went to our local swimming pool. Tried it on. Walked out. Told to get it off. Other than that, I haven't really worn anything extravagant to a gig. I think we had a Halloween gig once. It wasn't even on Halloween, but it was around that time period. And we were like, let's dress up like our favourite horror serial killer. And I think one guy wore a Jason mask. One guy was just naturally tall. I'm not going to say names, but our other lead guitarist, he was naturally tall, so he just wore a jumpsuit. Didn't have the mask for Michael Myers, but that was the concept there. And I just, once again, I had my shirt off, and I didn't really put any effort in. I think I drew black marks all over me for cuts, but no, hard times being a musician anyway with money, so you can't even afford.
Can't afford the Halloween costumes.
I busted out 30 quid on a 10-inch splash, and then didn't have enough money for the Halloween costume, so I think I just went rogue. So yeah.
Well, fair enough. So you're a drummer primarily.
Primarily, yes.
But was that the first thing you learned?
No. I think it's typical for anyone. I don't know if I'm saying this for all of the English Northeast people, but going to school, you were, especially in primary school, everyone picked up the recorder. And I know it's not an instrument as in you don't see that in Iron Maiden, or you don't see that in Def Leppard or out like that. It'd be class if you did. I'd probably listen to them if they did. But everyone picked up the recorder, but it just wasn't for me. Blowing into something was just a bit too much effort for my liking. I think lung capacity. I had asthma growing up, you see. So obviously that wasn't a good thing. Blowing on your recorder for about 30 seconds and then sucking in a bit of blue inhaler, it just didn't work for me. It was flimsy. It wasn't weighted. It didn't really feel. I don't know why I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the microphone for some reason. I should be looking at you because I'm talking to you. Anyway, I'm going off in a tangent. I played the piano for fun. Just learned songs, never really learned chords. Same with all my instruments really. I never really sat down and learned chord progressions or circular fifths or anything. I just typed in a song on YouTube and watched a guy play it, and I would copy him. I would just mimic him. So piano was really, really fun. But then when it got to learning Mozart, that's where you need the theory. Picked up the baritone in year 10, another blowing instrument which I thought would suck. Was in this orchestral type band in St. Bede's. Sitting next to another guy who done the baritone with me. Really enjoyed it because if you mess up any notes in an orchestral kind of situation, you've always got like 2 or 3 other guys that are doing it legitly. So spent the majority of our practices exchanging cat photos between me and this guy called Jack, the other baritone player. Got a bit stale. Not the cat pictures, they were great, but got a bit stale with the whole orchestral band. I wanted a bit more, I don't know, groove to it. I guess it was just sheet music was just a bit tedious and boring for me. Having to lump this baritone round. I know it's it's contradictory. Obviously, a drum kit is obviously a lot more than that. But yeah, fell out of love with the baritone. Sadly enough, picked the cornet up for a hot second. Didn't like that. Went back to the piano, and then the highlight of my life when Rock Band got released. My dad played the guitar in a I'd say like a cover band. We used to see him perform at like like dog shelters and stuff. not for the dogs, obviously, but like people who were just mad about dogs. Saw him butcher Smoke on the Water solo. Bless him, never played it since. But then we got Rocksmith. He had a go, and he kind of still sucked. But I remember seeing my dad play guitar. I thought that's a bit too intense for me, and so I thought I'll get guitar or I'll get Rock Band, just so I can play, just so I can simulate playing a guitar. This was the time when I was about to go into college, into Middlesbrough College. Didn't know what to do when I left school, so I decided I want to do something that I like doing for fun. I was going to do art. A couple of months later, I'm dead into rock bands, and I pick up the bundle with like the drums, the mic, and the guitar. Obviously, the guitar can be accustomed to a bass as well, but decided one day, I don't know, I'll try the drums out, and my God, even though I didn't hit any of the notes, I had rhythm. I felt as though I had rhythm. And this was the instrument, even though it was 4 pads and a stool and 2 pairs of sticks. To me, that was enough for me to enjoy this instrument. I learned all of my rudiments and all of my sticking techniques and all of my positioning on Rock Band.
Right.
Obviously, it's just 4 pads. The Guitar Hero is 5 pads, which is a lot more difficult. I did have that for a while, but didn't enjoy it because the cymbals broke because I hit too hard. I think that's primarily what you do when you learn drums. You just want to smash the living hell out of things. But going back to your question, what was the question?
My question was, did you learn drums first?
What instrument I learned first? Well then, the answer was technically a recorder.
Right.
But I was going to go out from the tangent, but I feel as though you're going to ask me questions involving these other aspects, or do you want me to just keep on?
Well, I mean,
with this.
I mean, if you want to keep going, you can keep going.
But I guess it's just background stuff. To cut a long story short, went to college, done music. Never touched a real authentic acoustic drum kit in my life. Had like a mesh head electronic kit for a bit. But once again, hit it too hard, bust all of the pads, broke all the cymbals. So my musical knowledge came from Rock Band. And safe to say, I was on the same level as some of the really, really good musicians, drumming wise. And no one could kind of believe that I'd learnt all from Rock Band and Guitar Hero. It is just like a silly game, if you like. But yeah, that's how I got into the whole music scene. And I know that wasn't the question. The question was what I started on, but it was a recorder technically.
That's all right. We've answered a couple of other questions there. So
You
never had any like proper lessons or anything?
When you go to music, you go to college for music. We all got assigned our own little one-to-one tutors, if you like. Except there was like 5 years on one tutor. We'd all just practice paradiddles at different speeds, which is just sticking techniques. And we got one of the best drummers I've ever seen perform, even in live bands to this day. And his name's Mike Tester, and it's sad because I should know a lot more about him, but I don't. Sadly, he passed away over Christmas time. He used to do drum lessons in a place called Mad Dog Music, which was in Stockton High Street. I used to go there every now and again. It's sad because I regret not seeing him more often, because whenever I'd see him play, he was just so fluent and so, you know when you see someone play and you just like, you were made to play that instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tester was just one of those guys. I had loads of opportunities to see his band play. In a sense, we had lessons with him, but obviously in my spare time, I'd sit with him, because I was terrible with actual sticking techniques. I only knew songs.
Yeah.
If he said something like, play a jazz groove in 7/8 over this chord progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd sit there and I'd be like, what's 7/8? I didn't know time signatures of shit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Learned time signatures by playing songs in different time signatures. Times Like These by Foo Fighters was in 7/8.
Mm-hmm.
First time where I struggled learning a song that wasn't in 4/4 or 6/8, because it was just a comfortable groove to do. But yeah, regarding lessons, me watching covers online of people, me doing covers online of songs that I really liked, helped me pick out the flaws in my playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of self-taught in a way, but then I would revert back to going to Mike Tester and thinking, how do I do this better, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I didn't pay for a tutor for one-on-one. It was just something was there that I could latch onto and say, help me with this, please. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess you could say I did have significant help with certain areas of my drumming.
Well, it's quite impressive that, because you definitely talk as if like you you've went through school and college and everything doing like drums and everything. Like when we have conversations about stuff, you'll say something and I'll be like, oh, this guy knows about this stuff, I better shut up now. You know what I mean? Like you start talking about something and I'm like, yeah, theory. How about that theory? So it's like Rock Band and Guitar Hero were like a big sort of inspiration for instruments, but was there any like bands or anything that sort of made you want to start drumming, etc.?
So I always we done like a thesis piece on like our idols, if you'd like, and my idol was Travis Barker from Blink-182.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like quite like in tandem with the first question you asked me, why I'm always taking my shirt off. Travis always had his shirt off, except he had a body and tattoos to show.
Right.
But I idolise my play style heavily over Travis Barker's, because it's you got Blink-182, a 3-piece punk band, right? And I know that punk drums and like are usually fast, heavy hitting drums. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's usually just like simple stuff, I guess. Just hi-hat, snare constantly. Maybe go on the ride cymbal. Kind of just I don't know, it's just stereotypical punk drums. But what Travis done for me is he opened a bucket of worms, and the worms were so fucking good. Like Adam's song is just a slow little sad song, I guess, but the drums in that are just crazy and they shouldn't work, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Travis Barker, I just looked at him and thought, one day I'm gonna drum as good as Travis Barker. And it's not the fact that when you listen to him on the albums, you get one thing, but when you see him perform, he's just everywhere. He's just absolutely all over the kit, and you can see he's not doing it for the band, he's doing it for himself, kind of thing. And I think because drums are like they're like the spine of a song. If the drums are just, if they're not interlocked with so obviously the key thing for drums is 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and it's getting that timing. If you speed up, slow down, it can destroy a song.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be precise with your timing, and that's what I didn't learn at first, which was a bit sad. But watching Travis Barker do what the hell he wanted, but he still stuck in time. That wasn't a real word, was it? He still stuck with his own timing.
Yeah.
He flew around the kit, standing up, smashing cymbals. You know, it was just a wave expression. And I think for me, I feel as though I had a lot of energy to exert during drums, and one of the reasons I love drums is you can't really mess up. You could stick a fill in randomly. It might not sound good, but it's different from going to do a different chord in a song.
Yeah,
that affects the whole. It's not in tandem with all of the other music, but because drums aren't notes, you could do extra and you could do little, and it's very hard to think that drummer missed a kick drum there.
Mm-hmm.
He might have done it because of flair, he might have done it because he felt like it, but there's a lot more, you can be a lot more expressive on drums, I feel, than any other instrument without, with getting away with it kind of thing. And I think that's what Travis gave to me. He gave me that kind of hope to think, even if I don't become a good drummer, I could be able to just do what I wanted, providing I kept in time, and I would be, relatively okay at the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Travis Barker was the I guess the first step to becoming a good drummer. Not, I'm going to be on the same level as Travis. Let's hit for the rev from Event 7/4. But he was that alter being where I just thought, man, he's different from every other drummer.
Yeah,
and I absolutely adore him. Adore the man.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So from did you always were you always thinking you wanted to make music, or was there a point where you were just well, I just want to know the instrument kind of thing? And was there an inspiration to go on and start bands and make music and stuff?
So I think in college you kind of you're around a lot of different types of musicians.
Mm-hmm.
From different areas, different backgrounds, loving different genres of music. I got really, really pally with one of the bassists. I'm gonna preach out his name here, if I can remember it. I'm just gonna call him Matt, and then I'll reiterate what his second name is when I can remember it. Just goes to show how much he influenced me.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you looked up bass in the dictionary, you'd see Matt's name in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was just the pinnacle of. He loved Red Hot Chili Peppers. He loved Muse. And he loved everything to do with slap bass. My God, the guy was just insane. He was about 6 foot, just like your typical gym guy, right? But when he held his bass, man, he held it like a woman.
Yeah.
He just the way. Sometimes you see people just, I don't know, strap on a guitar, and it's the way he's holding it, he's kind of going to be a bit all over the place, or he's just doing this because his mum told him.
Yeah.
But the way he held it, you knew what you were getting as soon as he positioned himself.
Yeah.
And then when he was just playing Hysteria by Me, he was just absolutely powering through it, proper loving it, not even looking at the frets, but closing his eyes and just jamming his head to it kind of thing. You knew that this guy was something special, and it's sad that I can't remember his second name. But me and him, he taught me so much about just slowing the fuck down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I wanted to do when I was in college was to play. I was slowly getting into the metal scene. I was slowly getting into double bass, and I was like, man, I hope there's a metal guy here. And there was a metal guy there, but he didn't like the right type of metal that I liked. He liked.
Yeah.
I was going to say Kiss there, but they're not really metal either. They're just glam rock. But he liked Slayer and Pantera and the likes of my metal preferences for the Devil Wears Prada, which was a metal core band. Speaking to you after Ask Alexandria if you want to class them as metal.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt, he liked Red Hot Chili Peppers and Muse, and to be fair, I didn't realise how solid the drum and bass was for those types of music. Chad Smith, the drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers and Flea, they were just in sync, and I felt as though, sounds silly, and I'd only met him for the first 2 weeks. We were performing Spirit in the Sky. I can't remember who the artist was for that, but we were in the same band, and we were just eyeing each other up the whole time. Didn't really matter what we were playing as long as we were just grooving.
Yeah.
But we'd know whenever the other person was going to do a fill on the drums or a little spontaneous walk on the bass. We'd know that, and it would we just sunk, and it was great. He taught me that you didn't have to fly all over the kit like Travis. You didn't have to do all this expression and stuff. As long as you felt the music and you jammed with the people you're performing with music. Yeah, it's all good. It's all Gucci kind of thing. I think I'm going off in a tandem again because I can't remember the question you asked me.
It was
answered though.
I think it was your inspiration to actually make music.
Ah, okay, right, yeah. So with this guy in mind, there was a lot of other people. There was a guitarist called Anthony Morton. I'm going to preach his name out because he's an excellent guy, a really good friend that I've lost contact with, which is a bit sad. But he loved metal music. He loved Trivium primarily. Matt Heafy was just his idol.
Yeah.
Didn't really like Trivium at the time until they brought out, the In Waves. I want to say In Waves album. I think it's called In Waves album. But me and him also just it wasn't on like a musical level like me and Matt was. It was more like, he could play the songs that I listened to countless amount of times in my garage on my acoustic kit.
Yeah.
I thought, man, if me and him could do this, we could grab a bassist, maybe another guitarist and a singer, we could perform all these covers, and we could travel. And like I said, I've told you this before, but like gigging with your mates, even if it's a terrible gig, even if it's a terrible performance, just going places with people you truly care about, you truly care about the thing that you're doing, is more than enough.
Yeah,
it's just a bonus if you can please people along the way.
Yeah.
But I think every Friday, the lecturers would put us in a band for the following Monday to learn one song. For the end of year performances, we'd have to perform in front of a lot of people. And for me, that really shone for me because I'm a people person. I love meeting and talking to new people, and it sounds a bit like what we would call it, narcissistic, but I loved the thought of people watching me do something that I enjoy. I feel as though they would enjoy it. Obviously, going on YouTube doing covers on there, I was getting good feedback. I was getting bad feedback, but the bad feedback was constructive, and it was something that I could work on. Although I could have done better with the constructive criticism, so I would get a bit sad. But I think from that moment on, I loved performing in front of people, and I loved performing for people. So it was something that I really wanted to drive forward with a group of friends or just musicians in general. Just to go out of my way to do something that could potentially, if it doesn't lead anywhere, it's a good like stepping stone for things in the future. Yeah, I mean, you are going into pubs and bars you've never been before, asking if you can play. It's it's some sort of like I don't know. It helps with your social skills, if anything like that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was you who told me before that you were offered a drum endorsement, but you turned it down.
A drum endorsement?
Yeah.
Don't think it was.
Was that not you?
No. And I wish it was me. I really do wish it was me, but I don't think it was.
Well, that was a very short That was a very short question.
I mean, I could lie and say, Zildjian reached out to me, right? And I was like, no, because I can't pronounce the stick name.
Yeah.
Is it Zildjian or is it Zildjian? It's Zildjian. But my God, back then, I was saying Zildjian.
Yeah.
And there's no way you'd want a guy to sponsor your company when they can't even pronounce the word.
When you see it written on a symbol, I kind of just look away so I don't try and pronounce it in my head.
It starts with a Z, it's probably zebra.
Yeah. Zebra symbols. Yeah. So we'll talk about the band now then. So what sort of music did you play?
Primarily metal, but I'll start with a bit of background. So Anthony Morton, like I said, was the guitarist in our band. Wanted to do absolutely everything. His motivations and his aspirations were just surpassing mine, and he was just all over the fact of wanting to do a band. It'd be great. Just rocking Trivium songs, rocking Pantera songs, doing a bit of A Day to Remember just for funsies. Yeah. So I think it's his best friend, a friend also that I've lost in touch with, Gary. Can't remember his second name. I'm sorry, Gary. Baldwin, I think. Gary Baldwin. I want to say. I hope I'm not just like saying just a celebrity's second name. Yeah. Gary Baldwin, yeah. And he was also a really, really good guitarist, rhythm guitarist. All he now was a bassist and a singer. He preached out to someone called Dave Renison, a really, really good friend, close friend, that I've also lost in contact with. Yeah. Sadly enough.
Noticing a theme here.
Yeah, a really, really good theme. And then there was another guy who wanted to do drumming in Middlesbrough College, but then opted to sing instead. Or scream if you like. Mainly sing though. And that was our band. So our band was called Anthem for the Fallen. Looking back on it now, it was pretty accustomed to our age range that we were. Called such a, I don't know, an angsty name, I guess.
It really sounds like either like a Killswitch Engage song or like a Bring Me the Horizon sort of inspired band name.
I think it was a song, so I remember typing it up on like Spotify when we didn't get it on Spotify, but we got it on like SoundCloud.
Mm.
I remember putting it on Spotify just to see if our music had got put in there, but I think it was generally a song that had like 5 different groups, but
Yeah.
I feel as you can't really be original with your names anymore unless you...
Not particularly, no. Unless you get like this ridiculous, like you tend to get a lot of really bad names because they're completely unique.
I mean, like I said, there's the German metal band called Wheat Butter, the bread with butter.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a great name. So
it is a great name. It suits the band to a T. But I think if you're being serious around Teesside, to a point, you need some sort of I don't know. We didn't really set off to hit any age ranges.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though we got accustomed with the 14-year-old to 16-year-old kind of, Asking Alexandria kind of group of kids, I guess.
Yeah.
Which was fine because we got a tiny bit of a following, I guess. There was the odd familiar face every time we gigged.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once again, I've forgotten your question because I go off in tandems.
What sort of music your band plays and everything?
So from different backgrounds, we got Dave Renison. He was weird because he loved Blink-182, which was great for me because obviously I idolised Travis. He idolised Mark Hoppus. That's the one, Mark Hoppus, cool. Which I don't even think he's in the band anymore. Might be, might not be. But he idolised him, and I thought, man, that's a wavelength right there, So he was into his punk. He did listen to like metalcore, if you like, Asking Alexandria, and he loved a bit of Day to Remember. He loved a band called Flyleaf, which I then listened to, and I loved. And they weren't metal. They were just really good rock, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you had Anthony and Gary, especially Gary, who loved like Slayer and your traditional 90s metal, I guess. But they were heavily influenced by Trivium. They both loved Matt Heafy. And then you had Ty Ellington. I knew him best as Connor. He was kind of on the same vibe as me. He liked his metalcore and mathcore kind of things, like Periphery, Devil Wears Prada, keep on saying Asking Alexandria because that was what I was proper into back then. Attack, of Mice and Men, kind of S music. So there was some sort of, apart from the bassist, there was like some sort of rapport there with that type of metal. But obviously Dave got in the hang of liking certain music that we were, and he was the same as Matt in college. He just loved the bass so much, and he was willing to try absolutely everything. And I think he liked performing with us. I think he did.
Yeah.
But I feel as though he wanted to do a bit more. But yeah, that's primarily what we based our music off, was just metal in general, kind of like Trivium, Five Finger Death Punch, Disturbed, and then on the extreme we were trying different time signatures because I was learning that in college. I was like, we'll do a 5/8 breakdown here, and so we're heavily influenced by Animals as Leaders and Periphery, not on the technical side because there's that stuff's hard to incorporate, but we were trying to just branch out. And for me, I was trying to incorporate a lot of the technical parts of songs that I was learning at the time. So I wanted to do a bit of what Travis was doing, kind of going out of the ordinary to kind of surprise someone in a song.
Yeah.
I think what's the drummer doing here? It's very bizarre. But so for me, writing the song was more about the shock factor to what it actually sounded like, which is a bit sad. But for me, I think it feels like it worked in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the genre of metal.
Yeah.
That's what we're going with. Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet metal.
Sounds like there was a lot of different influences there. So I mean, it's probably going to be. It sounds like one of those things where it's harder to narrow down what you want to do because you all want to do different things or influenced by different things. I
mean, like I said, with Dave liking Blink-182, he was still putting slap bass in some of our metal songs. There was a song called Party Hard or Go the Fuck Home, which was just like a little jingle we came up with. It just had, it was heavily influenced by a band called I Wrestled a Bear Once.
Right.
Can't remember the song, sadly. But there's a part in one of their songs where they just do this. It just sounds like like parts of the movie where you're just surfing.
Yeah.
Just music that goes with a guy surfing.
Mm-hmm.
They just added that in the back of their song and then just dubbed over it with just this disgusting breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's great. We should try and do a song like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so in our section, it was slap bass.
Yeah.
And then just went straight into just screaming and double kick all the way. And it was funny because we all incorporated our own little techs into it.
Yeah.
With sticking to the main theme of just metal, because I think metal is a genre that you can just play about with.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not really defined by anything.
Yeah.
Metal can be just, like old rock.
Yeah.
It can be absolutely insane. But I think metal defined as a genre can't really be defined.
Not really.
So
no.
that's why I think that our band worked on that level, because we could all incorporate whatever we wanted into it, and we would get out of it what we put in.
I think a lot of metal, a lot of the successful metal bands these days are the ones that are doing something a bit different to everyone else as well. Yeah. So I mean, and it's a lot easier, especially when you're just starting out, to say this is what we're doing, this umbrella term, rather than pigeonhole yourself into doing one specific thing. Because I've known a lot of musicians over the years who've wanted to do this one specific thing and have achieved nothing because they're not flexible at all on it. Then again, I've done nothing and I'm completely flexible on everything, so
yeah,
maybe I don't know anything. So you've made the one, was it an EP?
Yeah, we made an EP.
What was it called? We'll discuss the technical issues and everything first, later. But
so the EP had I want to say 5 to 6 songs on it. 2011, 2013. We actually brought out merch before the album, which was a flaw in our, we got too excited. We were seeing other bands. Yeah. There was a band called Foundations, and they were really good at what they'd done. It wasn't technical, but it was just, typical. You could just bounce your head to.
Yeah.
Really, really funky. And they had merch before their album, but a lot of people knew their songs beforehand.
Yeah.
So it worked for them. I feel as though we just wanted to have our own merch, primarily for us to wear.
Yeah.
And I know that's a niche thing for bands to wear their own t-shirts, but for us it was oh my god, we're famous because we got our because we went down the shop and got a print out of something on a vest. I think we went to Primark for our vests, and then just got printed on as replicas. That's the one, just replicas of something to come to. Lost track of the question. The band, the album, right? So I can tell you what it looks like, right? And what it is on the iPhone 4, no, the iPod Touch, there's this image of a tree that's just logged into your phone before you even started up. It's just a recommended picture you have as your background. We cropped it out. We altered some of the saturation for it, darkened it a bit, stuck a parental advisory sticker on it.
Of course,
we had swearing in our. And for the longest time, when we were, I'm probably going to answer loads of other questions in these tandems, but I feel as though I need to, I don't know, just keep on going on these tandems.
As long as the questions get answered in the end, it's all right,
But a lot of the process for our writing songs was in Dave's living room, and a lot of the times we played Slenderman. And I wouldn't say, not going to state Slenderman had influence on us playing, but it was just something to, if we were in a rut about making a song, i.e. on our EP, we were struggling for the 5th song. The 5th song ended up being our best song, Buried the Bitch Alive, which was a song that Ty written when he, I don't know if he doesn't mind me saying this, but he had a hardship in a relationship he was having, so it kind of reflected his emotions into it, which was, I feel as though a lot of songs that kind of hit an emotional note with whoever's singing it, I feel as though a lot of them get the piss took out of them, because people are pouring their emotions out into a song, and it may sound a bit sappy, it may sound a bit cliche, but with this song, even though it came across as just a funny, funky little song, it had some sort of undertone of realism, to think, wow, this guy really, really, really doesn't like this girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were playing Slenderman 8 pages, Couldn't get past the 6 because we'd get too scared and leave it. But we ended up coming with the title of something like no, From Nothing to Something. I believe that was the album, From Nothing to Something, because when we started we were just jamming in Dave's garage, thinking we'll do a gig, see how it is. But we were consistently doing gigs every week, and as much as the time schedules were for certain people, with that the album kind of just solidified. We didn't know what we were doing, but what we're doing now is great, kind of thing. So from nothing to something was what we stuck with. We didn't release it on CD. It was literally only on SoundCloud for free, because obviously you shouldn't charge anyone for your music, you know, unless you are of a certain stature, I believe. If you're going to places saying, "Can I perform my band here?" you shouldn't be charging for your music. You should be charging people for your music when people reach out to you and say, can we have you for this gig? It's like, right, okay, people now want us. Maybe we could start charging. But I feel as though because of our band, because we're such a nice band, we still wouldn't care, because we were in it for the, I don't know, I think everyone in the band has ever said this. It's like, we were in it for the music, not the money. But I strongly believe, because of our love for music, we didn't care if we didn't get paid for a gig. We would bust 50 quid on petrol. We would bust another 20 quid on food and stuff like that, just to get to a gig, just to stay over, just to perform that for the thrill of it, kind of thing, just like a roller coaster park. But yeah, we were teetering around with a different album idea before this, which is sad because we didn't do anything about it. We wrote a song called Tyrants, which was meant to be, I believe Vanity or Greed or something, and the album was to do with the 7 sins. After watching Seven in 2001, I think, when it first came out, I was like, man, such a good film. Ty preached that idea. I was like, dude, 7, we could write an album with 7 songs. That's what we wanted, 7 songs. We ended up being 5 or 6. But we just couldn't, because of we were still in college, we were still learning our instruments. And I feel as though, you know, Lust would have a different sound to to Greed. How would you differentiate Lust to Greed? Would Lust be happy, kind of, I don't know, punk? Would Greed be this? We hadn't a clue, and it was a good idea, but it was the wrong time for us to kind of pursue that. So I believe we brought From Nothing to Something out as a kind of, this is where we're at now, we'll get better from this moment on. I feel as though with every single song we got better. The only song we didn't put on the album that we performed was our first song called Hunting Season, which, to be fair, I don't really know what we kind of set that out to be. But yeah, that didn't go on the album. No particular reason. It's just that we felt as though it wasn't a song that deserved to be on an EP. It was just something that we first performed, not as a joke, but just to kind of get an overall feel for how well we performed together. I feel as though we didn't put time and effort into it to put it into an album, yet we performed it live because it was fun. But yeah, that was our album. That was our aspirations for the album.
Awesome. So you were a bit disappointed with how the album ended up, like how it came out in the end after mastering and everything.
Yeah, we're doing gigs. We're doing Aspire in Redcar. Bless him. Our first gig we performed there. Very, very nervous. We were kind of just like the second band on. There was like 4 bands playing. The headliner act was really good. We're all just metal. It was a metal night every Thursday, I think. Got 3 Jaeger bombs. We're like, we're doing something good if we're getting 3 Jaeger bombs. So we're jamming with. We're doing a lot of gigs with a band called Foundations, like I mentioned earlier. They're really, really good, and they were going on music tech more than anything. So they were doing all of the recordings and stuff for bands. And obviously they'd done their own. We listened to their album, listened to their songs, and the mastering was spectacular for what we wanted. Wasn't like your typical what you hear on the radio. It wasn't. I wouldn't say that good, but it wasn't. You know, the equipment that I had, they'd done well with it. So we're doing these gigs. we're breaking even certain gigs with money out of our pocket. I say our pocket, I mean Anthony's pocket, because he put everything on his own shoulders, bless him. And obviously none of us worked. It's a similar thing for a band. Gary worked, but a lot of it was coming out of Anthony's pocket, which to this day I've never really thought about, but I'm sorry, Anthony. So we were doing certain gigs, getting like £10, £20, £35 kind of thing, and we had our own little selection of piggy bank money for ourselves. So we threw it all in, and we paid Foundations for a week to record our album and mix it for us, which for 5 songs, £100. And I know now how hard it is to mix an album, you know, especially when you've got five musicians who are very particular about the way their instrument wants to be heard. Yeah. Like I said, Dave the bassist wants, like all bassists want, where you can hear the bass in the songs. Yeah. And we did as well, because he like I said, we were listening to Duran Duran's Rio. The bass is doing something completely different to what the guitar's doing, and Dave was doing exactly that. He's following the riffs, but just doing a little bit of like, you know, zest kind of thing. Same with all of us. We wanted to be heard, and we wanted our music to be the best it could be. So we splurged on £100 for Foundations to do our EP. And once again, in the studios, instead of performing to a click track, which I should have done. To be fair, I did in the end. I did perform to a click track, but I thought just hearing Anthony's guitar through headphones was enough. But obviously, you need clicks. My God. So we were doing that, and because some of our songs went from 4/4 to 6/8, 4/4 to 5/8, 4/4 to 3/4, we needed different click sounds. Lucky for me, in the 3/4 and the 6/8 parts, because it's such a swingy kind of feel, you can have a 4/4 click and just play a slow triplets to kind of incorporate that. Yeah. The beat on the one would be different, but you can kind of manage it. But in sections where it was 5/8, you could not do that at all. So we had to stop for those bits, record them in 5/8 click, which was fine. So we're doing a lot of, like, what would you call, just play testing with. It was such an open areaed room. It was almost like a gym hall. Yeah. So the acoustics were naturally quite good, but you wouldn't get any echoes, which is good in a way, but bad in a way. Our guitar tones were very, very reverberated. And for the cymbals to kind of hit through, they had to reverberate off the walls, which we didn't have many of, because they were just X amount of distance away. Yeah. I was performing not on my own kit, but a kit that the college had provided. Didn't have a front skin, which didn't matter, because in this day and age you could make your drum kit sound however you wanted to. But when we were recording it, it sounded good playing back. It was mainly the snare and the bass drum that I really wanted, but he was going to alter the bass, so it was just a click noise, which I can't remember what the setting is now. But it doesn't really matter how hard you hit it, as long as there's contact, you can make that tone go through the whole entirety of the song. And it was so easy to do. But yeah, after two days being relatively happy with the drums, I'm not gonna put the blame on the mix at all, but like during that time I was 50-50 with double bass pedal. There was notes that I was missing. Yeah. But I spoke to one of the guys and said, you know, I'm not comfortable with doing these kicks, and you know, you shouldn't really perform music that you can't play, but I feel as though if you don't push yourself hard enough, you won't get to that point. So it made me apparent to get better at that, or else I would suck in those parts during gigs. And eventually I got there. But during this mix, you know, because they were doing the clicks as the drums, it didn't really matter if it was a faint hit or non-existent hit. They would just fill it in for me, they said. I said, okay, fair enough. Got that done. Guitars were fine, bass was fine, vocals once again were fine. We had one of their singers / screamers on one of our songs, Buried the Butch Alive. But when we waited a week for it to come, there was just delay after delay after delay. I know they were trying their hardest because of the uni work and college work that they had. I feel as though they just... It might have sounded okay to them, but it didn't really sound okay to us. And, you know, we were there when they were kind of doing like a little bit of mixing, and we were saying this is how I would like this to sound like, and, you know, we weren't proper critical on the way it sounded, but my God, there's... Especially going from time signature to time signature, it wasn't fluent. And I know it's not supposed to be fluent because it's just a totally different groove in general, especially if you're going down in tempos. But, you know, if you can't get that right, you know, they got the tones okay, the drums were okay, but, you know, the drums were out of sync with the guitars, and that's the main thing in a recording. My bass pedal and snare could have sounded dog shit, but as long as they were in time, it was fine. And our best song, my favourite song of them, Very Bitch Alive, was just borderline butchered, because if people were busy and people didn't have time to do our album to the best of their abilities, I'd rather them have just said, we would say, right, we'll give you 50, just make it decent and we'll try and do it, or we would go somewhere else. But that's not the case. It's listenable, but it doesn't showcase our musical skills to a point, because it just sounds like you've just overlaid a load of different sounds into one, and it's sad really, because we really wanted it to be some sort of foundation for us to get better on, but how can we get better on something that's not even in time? So it really set us back with wanting to make more songs. And I believe we made one song after that, can't remember what it's called, but it was a lot more technical. But yeah, we wanted to go past that, but things were just on a decline from there, I guess, which was a bit sad. The death of our first EP was the beginning of something. You know, from nothing to something, from something to whatever this next stage is, and sadly it was a bad thing. So
was that it? Like, just after that was...
No, we had a gig in Darlington. Can't remember what the place is, but the drums were mic'd up absolutely beautifully. It was I can't remember if I brought my own kit. Might have brought my own kit. It was a Gretsch. I couldn't tell you. It was a Gretsch kit, a silver kit. So you know how that sounds. It was my first kit I got when I passed my exams in school. Got 500 quid, splurged it on a Gretsch kit, and that got mic'd up, and it sounded brutal. It sounded absolutely amazing. The guitars, bass got all amped up, all the pedals shot down, the mic, everything was class. Best gig we've ever performed in Darton because of the sound. It was great. We performed our new song. It didn't really go as well as we wanted it to go, but and that was when we found out that Mitch Looker from a band called Suicide Silence had died. Super heartbreaking for the guitarist, since he another idol. But yeah, from that gig on, there was just, like I said, I haven't spoke about this yet, but we had a bit of a problem with a certain member of the band, that we came to a decision as a group to talk to them, and just to relay our feelings towards them, because of certain reasons. Told them, they were fine with it, you know. They just want to kind of hear it from all of us instead of just one of us. Got another guy in, similar aspect, I guess. Had the showman attitude, good singer, good screamer kind of thing. You know, but it was just the same thing. I know to say it's stereotypical, but a lot of what I've read and what I've saw is that singers tend to be a bit lackluster when it comes to punctuality, and I'm not saying it's all singers. There might have been, you know, a reason for them to turn up, but they didn't tell us, so we had every assumption to think that they just couldn't be bothered. But you know, I still speak to that in particular band member to this day, now and again when I see him in the streets and stuff like that. And you know, we've got no conflict, and you know, we understand each other very well. But I think from switching vocalist to vocalist, for me, it was kind of just, you know, we weren't going to be on the level that we wanted to be. And we didn't want to be well known, we just wanted to go around the northeast, perform gigs, and have
Yeah.
familiar faces, thinking, my God, I hope they play this song.
Yeah.
But so far, we were just we weren't really progressing as a whole. We were just kind of, we were trying to reach for the rope that was a bit too far out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I really wanted to focus on my career as like a whole.
Yeah.
I was getting to the age of 20, 21. I was like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'd love to be in a band. I'd love to perform music, but it's very hard scene to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that to put people off, but I feel as though for me in particular, and for what we were performing and for what we wanted, it wasn't right for us to pursue that.
Yeah.
So even the really good, talented bands, I'm not saying we weren't, but some of the more solid bands, they were still just, I don't know, Stockton Riverside Festival, they were on that maybe.
Yeah.
That is a stepping stone, obviously, they had something to reach onto, but that was our reach, to perform Middlesbrough Music Live or something like that, which we did once, but we didn't get asked again. So we were thinking, are we doing something wrong?
Yeah.
Because as much as you like your music and as much as you are really good at your music and what you want to do, other people may not like that. That's the sad thing about music. It's the same thing about art. You could draw a masterpiece. People might look at it and think, well, that's just like a picture. There's nothing to that.
Yeah.
But I think with me wanting to start work, and a lot of animosity was just heavily disrupting the band, I thought instead of this going on and breaking our friendship, I kind of need to be, I don't know, I felt as though I needed to speak my mind, or else things would have got a lot worse. I spoke my mind and said, I love this band to pieces, absolutely adore the members in it, but I said I can't pursue this any further as much as I'd like to. Like I said, Gary had work. He was struggling to make practice because he had work, because he lived in Redcar. So he was busting everything he could to go to band practice, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be just fluent kind of thing. And I felt as though we all needed to take that extra step in life before we ever thought about reuniting. And it wasn't a hiatus, but it wasn't like a total I am not doing this anymore, because there was the odd time where we could just gig now and again if we wanted to. We still needed songs, we still always listen to the songs. YouTube has a lot of practices of our songs, gigs of ours. But from that moment on, I was focusing on other things, and since I left, certain of the members left, and there was nothing really left of the band, which was sad. So from nothing to something really reflected
back to nothing again,
yeah. It's sad really, but we couldn't reach our goal, and I feel as though if you're not getting there progressively and slow, if you're getting progressively worse, maybe it's time to just stop, rethink and assess, and I think that's the best thing that we could have done.
It sounds like a healthy breakup. I mean, sometimes these things just aren't fixable. So Bury the Bitch Alive was your favourite song he's made. Spy was your favourite venue. What's like the best band you've played with, would you say?
Best band we played with? Technically, we hit up the Teesside University once. I don't mean hit up as in like guns. Hit up as in just like, we performed, and there was a lot of really, really cool acts in there that that I listen to this day. Once again, not prepared for this podcast whatsoever. Can't really relate. They had a song called Royal Blood, not the band Royal Blood though. I can't. I honestly can't think of any band that I played with that's been my favourite, I guess. Like I said, even the band that I've forgotten the name of, we didn't really play with them. We were just in the same venue, 6 hours apart from playing with them. We were on a different stage entirely. Like I said, the band who recorded our EP, they were really good at what they did, but it wasn't something I was looking forward to thinking, wow, a headline for them. But there wasn't any standout, and I don't mean it's in a bad way, but there wasn't really any standout musicians or tell a lie, not musicians, any bands that kind of, you know, I was like, oh my god, we're playing on the same stage as these guys. Because like I said to you, we never gotten anywhere to have that opinion, have that judgment of character with bands. So to answer your question, it was not really a favourite band. Okay. It's sad because I should be able to tell you, but yeah.
Well, what would you say was the best like gig you've been to, like generally, like who was the best actor you've been to see?
Oh, I've been to see. Yeah. Once again, hit up Leeds Fest in 2013. Once again, not with a gun. 2013. Saw the likes of System of a Down player. Saw Eminem. He was late as usual. Green Day. Hacktivist was in there. Crossfaith were in there. Skrillex was there, but I missed him because I wanted to see Green Day. Sad. But it only occurred to me 2 or 3 years ago where I listened to music not for the fun of it, but you know, listen to it as from a musical standpoint. You know, what was the drumming like in this section? What was the bassist doing in here? And once you have your mindset focused on that in like a musical lost my train of thought. Yeah, when you hone in on different instruments and different orchestrals and pieces, you realise what the band was wanting to do in that music, in that piece. Yeah. Whereas you see and listen to like Nicki Minaj and Justin Bieber and Jason Derulo, there's not a lot of. I mean, it's great. It's great that you can produce a song that's so catchy and so just chill that you can listen to. But you know, metal, in a sense, you know, it's so much harder. I feel pressure's on you to perform to your utmost best and to kind of, you know, grasp that genre that you're going to hit. Yeah. And the last 3 years, I've been really, really listening to bands that I wouldn't necessarily listen to. Because they weren't poppy, they weren't catchy enough. Yeah. So there was a band that I went to see this year in January 15th in Manchester, in Victoria Road, I think it's called Victoria House or something, Victoria Warehouse. Sorry, it was a band called Architects, and they're a UK band. And from when I was listening to like Asking Alexandria and The Devil Wears Prada, they were about. And they were performing similar songs. They had a song called Deep Blue, I think. Or maybe that was Parkway Drive. They had one song that was like, you know, it was good, but it was a bit too much for me. The screaming was a bit too much for me as well. Yeah. There wasn't any singing in it, so I wasn't really enjoying it. But they released a lot of really good songs. I've actually got the album down here somewhere. I'm not going to find it though because there's just a lot of games down there as well. The band, the album's called Holy Hell. It dropped, I want to say, late last year. Yeah, and it's the going from a teenager to buying my first CD, which was a Britney Spears CD, to then going on to Mika, to then going on to Hollywood Undead. And then after a stint of years of just, and I'm not proud to say this, but you know, ripping music off of YouTube because I couldn't be bothered to buy the album. I listened to the Architects demos and trailers on YouTube, and I thought, man, I really need to buy this album. I really need to show them how much, you know, they mean to me as a musician. I'd only listened to the whole album once. I wanted to listen again as soon as, you know. Got the album, played it on my surround sound in here, and I was just blown away. I was like, I need to see these guys live. They're really affecting me in a really good way. Like I said, this was after the death of their guitarist, their main songwriter. Their bassist from Silosis, I'm going to forget his name again because I'm really good with names but not on the spot. Yeah. But yeah, bassist from Silosis, Josh Middleton, that's the guy. He came in and you know, I wouldn't say filled that gap, but he filled that guitarist role in a different way. Brought a bit of what Stylosis had into Architects. I can see myself being in that position. One of your best friends, people you class as a brother, The drummer was the brother of the guy who died, Tom Seeley. I could see myself not wanting to perform anymore, especially with my brother. I don't even have a brother, but if they did that, I couldn't go on. Yeah. And the fact that Josh Middleton came in and kind of not resurrected them, but helped them continue to produce such a beautiful masterpiece of an album. Orchestral, there's old school metal in it. There's it's just absolutely breathtaking. And when I went to see them in January, they did not falter. Beartooth were on, which was a band that I grew up listening to Attack Attack, and the guy moved on to Beartooth, and I did enjoy them. There was another Australian band that were there, couldn't remember the name of, but when Architects came on, it wasn't just I was listening to Architects. I was watching Architects. It was just outstanding. I had a camera there ready to take pictures of everything. But I couldn't. I was too busy enjoying the music to even care about honing in on these picture memories. Instead, I whipped out my phone and filmed the whole thing because I knew I wanted to watch this again. Yeah. I knew that I couldn't wait another 6 months or whatever for them to come back in Manchester. I needed to see them again. Yeah. They were breathtaking. And I know I've been to a lot of gigs, but I had this kind of mentality of, why would you want to go to a gig when you can listen to the album? If you're going to go to a gig and they're going to perform exactly like they are on the album, they're going to sound exactly the same, so you're not really getting anything new. You're just seeing it and hearing it for real. Architects did that, but it was so raw and so realistic that it was just different to the album. I don't know. And like I said, they always do like an audience, I think that's the right word, an audience to Tom, who died. And it was good crack as well. Even in the interludes, he was talking to everyone, saying how much he means to everyone. And I know that's stereotypical for every band to do that, but it really, really mattered for Architects. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that the death of Tom made me want to listen to Architects, but it was something that I wanted. I was curious into listening, and I thought, wow, I wonder how their music's going to change now that one of their key musicians has passed. I wonder if it's going to go downhill from here. And it didn't. It got better, and I don't mean that to diminish Tom Seeley at all. Yeah, of course. But my God, they have spunk to do that, man. Class. But they are my favourite band that I've ever seen live. Awesome. So, you've not really done anything since Anthem? No, sadly. Have you got no interest in being in a band now, or? I mean, it's kind of been there, done that. No, I mean, I don't think I would want to be in a band as such. Not because of a psychological effect of it, but I wouldn't want to be in a band because it's hard to say, because when I was younger I would scoff at the fact of what I'm saying now, but there's other priorities, and unless you know someone, or a secret gateway that no one else knows on how to pursue music as a career. YouTubers have done it very, very well. But unless you know that, then you have to prioritize surviving. You need to, especially when you get older, you need to move out of your parents' house, which is good coming from me. You need to have some sort of stable income, because you can't perform music if you don't have money, and it's sad. You need petrol to go places. You need equipment just in case it breaks. So I think on that note alone, my spare time is devoted with friends and family. So I can't do anything out of that. But like I've been saying to you, I'd love to save up for my own little space where I can record and just play music, and kind of just like I've done with drums, just experiment and try and make something that I can look back and think, I'll do it better next time. Yeah. And then get some sort of piece or ensemble where I'm like, this is cool. Let's try this, But no, there's nothing at the moment that's, driving me to pursue anything other than that.
Yeah.
And even still, you know, I love playing music. I could sit down for hours on my drum pad.
Mm-hmm.
We've just been playing on Rocksmith. I could do that for a long, long time. But anything that's productive in the sense of me not in heightening my skills, I've got no interest at the moment to do that, which sounds horrifically sad. I don't think you can write your own music or mix your own music to the level you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not on the level you want to be.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. And you said to me before that you'd want to make music like more of a hobby than as work.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like work, if you get work from a hobby, that's kind of a good way to go, but you know, I can see what you mean.
I mean, I get that, but then it comes down to realistically, you know, if, for instance, if I'm playing Rocksmith and I start filming and streaming on live to Twitch or anything like that, right, and I get some sort of following, I've then got some liability to keep my appearance up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I might love Rocksmith, I might love playing the drums or anything like that, but there'll be days where I can't. I'll be on holiday, I'll be working. I won't have enough capacity to showcase my best to someone.
Yeah.
And it's in those days you'll falter and you'll lose followings. But when a hobby becomes a job, you are inclined to do things.
Yeah.
And as much, I love drumming as much as any other drummer. But when people are saying, you know, the deadline's coming up, you must perform this piece by here, and it's like, well, if I'm getting forced to do it, I'm gonna then rush it.
Yeah.
If I rush it, I'm not playing it to the best of my abilities. I don't want people to rely on me. I'm not saying I'm an unreliable guy, but because of where I am in my life right now, I can't have other liabilities, which is it's something that I'd like to have.
Yeah.
But you know, because of my level as a musician, I can't really showcase that as the best of my abilities.
Yeah. So is that my next question was if you'd thought about doing session work, but that seems like it's the same sort of thing. Like you wouldn't want to commit to helping out a band and then realise you can't actually do it.
The thing is with sessioning is that you can reach out to other bands and say, you know, can I session for this? You know, asking Alexandria cover band. It's just the band that comes to mind the most for some apparent reason unknown to me. But then once you've done those, and then people start reaching out to you and you say no, then they're just not going to ask you anymore. So once again, it's one of those things where you must keep up some sort of or form of appearance, punctuality to kind of, you know, get a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's fine if, you know, if you have a mate who's saying, the drummer's ill, can you step in? Yeah, sure, I'll do that. It's fine. You know, you get paid for it, but it's not comfortable workflow. It's like whenever, and you know, you can't have. I don't think you can have any sort of form or work of, you know, getting paid on a I'll do it now kind of premise. You need to be punctual with everything. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Well, that's basically everything I had to ask for him.
Are you sure that's everything?
I think that's basically everything.
Basically everything.
More or less everything.
Pretty sure before the start of this podcast you asked me what my funniest story is.
Well, I did do that, and then you said that you didn't have a funny story, so I just skipped the question. Would you like to tell us a funny story?
I mean,
you've told us a lot of stories today.
I tell you what, right? Funniest thing that happened to me in a band, right? And it's on YouTube, and it may not seem funny when you watch it. It was during the midterm of like college when nothing was really happening, and there was an option for a group of people to help out a lot of people who had learning disabilities and not things wrong with them, but like hindrance for performing musical instruments. So I volunteered because I thought it'd be quite fun to teach someone drums. You know, it's something that I'd like to do in the future, which could or could not happen. I love teaching people, even if I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So we were in a band together, called It might have been called One Word. I'm not too sure. I mean, I don't mean one word as in like toilet. I mean one word as in one word. No, it wasn't. That's it. It was called 3 Lies Later. Right.
Right.
3 Lies Later was our college band who would primarily get put together all the time because we had the same level of interest. We had the same level of, we wanted to perform this song, so we did it.
Yeah.
So we all stayed back to help all of these. It was mainly people with some sort of performance anxiety.
Yeah.
With an instrument, and people with autism. There was a person with ADHD who was a very, very particular person. He was very, very funny. And we decided to sit down and perform "Forget You" by CeeLo Green.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, there was another version called "Fuck You."
Mm-hmm.
So we performed that one. So there's like this camera crew comes in and just wants to film our progression of what we're doing. And like I said, there's people who look after these individuals which are there as well, who can play guitar, who can play the bongos and sing. But obviously we're there to kind of get a, because a similar age range to us, so you feel as though you're on the same level kind of thing. But I feel as though getting taught by someone your own age is more fun and more approachable than someone of a different age and stature. This film crew came in and they took us all outside. I say all of us, just our band, and they were doing what you were doing now, just asking us questions and interests and stuff like that. I still had the majority of my clothes on.
Right.
So during the interview, I'm like sometimes there, sometimes not, because I strongly believe when I was younger I just had a lot of pent up energy to do whatever I wanted, so I was just running around doing whatever.
Yeah.
And, drum was a good way of just exerting that energy, so I was there, here and there, here and there, here and there. They get to a point where I'm there and I'm not really paying attention to the camera guy because I'm looking elsewhere. There's a lot of like construction stuff happening, so I'm just elsewhere. We got asked the question something like, I don't know, are you expecting a lot of followers? Are you expecting a lot of people to turn up for the gig? And we all look at Jack because Jack absolutely knows everyone. Jack Perrin, he knows absolutely everyone in the area, and he said, it's mainly going to be Jack's mates, if I'm honest. And then I say we're probably going to get naked, if I'm honest. There's a joke. The camera woman's just like shocked, and she's ready to just cut the recording because we're starting to talk a bit, not PG for what this, this video is going to portray.
Yeah.
And in the video on YouTube, obviously, right at the end of it, I take my top off and I just leg it, and I'm undoing my belt around the corner, and then she pans out of the way, which is a bit sad, because after that I just get down to my undies, down to my socks, and I'm just legging it around with just jeans and a shirt in my hand. I'm so excited to perform. It wasn't really a funny story until you watch the video.
Okay.
But it was something that was different.
Okay.
You could edit that out if it's not that funny.
We'll see how the video goes.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's basically everything. So thanks for joining us today, Steve.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Thanks for listening to the Total Tease podcast, and hopefully we should work out a schedule for the proper not demo shows soon. I think the first guest we're going to have on is Chrome, so we look forward to inviting them on. So yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us, Steve.
Thank you very much for having me.
And goodbye.
See you later.
You're looking forward to tomorrow night then?
Yeah, I'm gonna get naked.
Which is actually going to be true as well.
Yeah, he's probably gonna take his top off or something.
Woo! That's Stevo! Mate, is that a picture sweaty spot?
Oh man!